Well, tonight's special report, weather forecasting, of course, becoming more and more sophisticated, especially in the last 40 years with satellite and radar advancements, to more powerful computers to generate modeled data more quickly.
Even with all the changes, one method remains. Fox 21's meteorologist Jeff Womack tells us about the classic weather balloon launch. Hey, Jeff.
Hey, Lauren. While we use many things to help get a handle on the atmosphere, this might be our most important. In fact, you could call it the backbone of data assembly. What am I talking about? The weather balloon launch. Let's take a look. It's a technology that's been around for centuries. First introduced by French meteorologists clear back to the 1800s, and later used to discover the differences in the lower troposphere and the stratosphere. The very same practice is still used today, worldwide, to provide vital forecast information.
At noon and midnight, Greenwich Mean Time, the 100 places in the United States and about 500 places around the world all launch weather balloons.
But before these balloons can take flight, close attention is paid to the way they're put together.
We can't touch the balloon with our hands because they say that just the stuff on our hands will cause the balloon to burst early.
Next comes the helium. A parachute is then attached to our flying weather machine. As much as 100 feet of string is rolled out to make sure there's enough space between the balloon and radiosonde. The radiosonde is the actual instrument that sends back the atmospheric data. It also has to be handled with care.
Once the battery's connected, we're supposed to have the sondes are supposed to be on styrofoam or hanging.
Boy, some days it's like the weather itself doesn't want to be forecast. And what do I mean by that? Well, it puts up nature's obstacles for us. For example, the winds the day of our launch were about 20 knots and picking up. And that's right at that critical criteria to where you can have a decent launch, or it could be a total forecast bust later on.
We got crazy clouds today.
Even with the winds, the launch is still a go, as only lightning will actually cancel a flight. After a quick observation, the flight data is recorded so that any forecaster can trace the origin of this flight.
When it takes off, I've got to try and shoot the gap.
In no time, the balloon was as high as 10,000 feet. Before it bursts, it will rise to 100,000 feet, and its circumference will be the size of a two-car garage.
So we need to send the balloon up. Every second it's sending data back to the ground with the barometric pressure, the temperature, the humidity, and what the winds are doing, the wind direction, wind speed, so that we can see what's happening, not just at the surface, but up above.
Once balloons pop, they slowly descend and can land up to 100 miles away from the launch site. If one of these lands in your yard, they come with a return envelope and can be sent right back to the National Weather Service.
I imagine there's a farmer or a rancher somewhere out east of us that just must have thousands of these on his property.
After the data is collected, NOAA starts processing it and putting it into forecast models in as little as 2 hours for meteorologists all over the world to look at. One tool used is a little thing we call a skew-T log-P diagram, which digs into the vertical layers of the atmosphere. The balloon launches may seem archaic, but it's a method that has stood the test of time, with a little help from new technology. And it's likely not going away anytime soon.
I don't think they could do it any other way, especially it's cheaply.
So how much? Well, the average cost for a launch is only about a couple $100. Now, the data provided, it helps us make accurate forecasts. That data, I'm here to tell you, absolutely priceless. Scott, Lauren.